found out a good friend of mine died this morning. 60 years old, esophageal cancer, really quick. I don't know exactly, it was around 60, 61.
Cruise update. We'll start. Yeah, I've been your home. At least say, can't, Brown's frozen, right?
What's that?
You can start saying I can't, Brown's frozen, instead of saying I can't get you.
We all set?
Can't get you.
Okay, I'll call the Tremont Planning Board meeting of December 13th to order at 6:02. Roll call.
Lawson Wilson's
We have
here.
Lawson Wilson down that end. We have Beth Gott here, myself, Mark Good. I thought Jeff was coming, and maybe he'll show up, so let's just wait on making a motion there. And I'll take a motion to excuse Brett's absence. He had something work-related he had to deal with tonight.
I'll make a motion to excuse Brett Witham.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to excuse Brett Witham. All in favor? Unanimous, 3-0. I don't know about Jeff. I do. I swear I saw that. Is this him coming now?
Yep.
Yes, he's here, okay. We were just debating whether to, you were gonna be absent or not.
No, I emailed John.
Yeah, I did, I thought I did see that, yeah.
Do you want to sit here?
Well, don't you have Moynihan on first?
Well, that's first, I was gonna say, well, first we're gonna do the minutes and everything. And I was gonna suggest maybe we take Mike first, because I think we can get through that fairly quickly if nobody has an objection.
Makes sense.
And Greg won't have to sit around here all night. And Jeff, you want to wait, won't sit around all, through it all, you can go home and eat too, if you want.
Are we doing, rentals and short-term rentals discussion tonight?
It's not on the agenda, we just really got the letter to, well, that's on there, we'll just mention it briefly, I guess. I can't see having a prolonged discussion on it tonight. But I think we should schedule that for an upcoming meeting.
Okay, you want to do that quickly, then I'll leave?
Don't you want to be here for the Mike's
Mike,
project?
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
after Mike,
yeah.
yeah.
Good at December 13th
Thank you,
agenda.
appreciate it.
I
Laura.
don't have it.
Okay,
Today's agenda?
I'll take a motion, oh, hold on, you need the agenda?
Yeah, it wasn't in my packet.
She didn't have the agenda in her packet. You want to look at mine? Make it easier.
Sorry, okay. Just-
Don't lose it, or otherwise I'll lose track of what's going on. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjust the agenda so that we have the new business before old business.
I'll make a motion
Oh, never mind, I
to
got it.
switch new business and old business on the agenda, swapping numbers 5 and 6.
Second.
Motion and second motion and second on the table to take new business before old business, swap 6 for 5. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay,
Aye.
okay, unanimous. And minutes, October 25th. We can't do this again because there's no, Brett's not here, and Beth and I were absent, so there's no quorum that was at that meeting. So we're gonna have to table that.
The minutes that
Again.
we never.
Yeah, the minutes
Yeah.
that never get approved.
Okay.
Go ahead. Motion.
I'll make a motion to table the
Yep.
approval of minutes from October 25th
Until the next
until
meeting.
our next meeting.
We have a second?
I'll second,
Motion is second to table
if I
to
can.
table the minutes for October 25th until our next meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0. Okay, November 15 minutes. Since we just got these tonight, I didn't have a lot of time to look them over. Did anybody see any issues?
The sort of germane issue, I think, is on page 18.
What page?
Page 18.
Yep.
And I think the paragraph I, the motion, there's a couple of things in there that I think is worth getting right, since it is quite substantive. So in the findings, the existing driveways and driveway openings does not meet section 7E because it would be an expansion of non-conforming use. I guess that would be, I don't know, you're the copy editor, but should it say that is prohibited?
Well, first, it should be meet, not met, section 7E, because it would be an expansion of a yeah. Which is prohibited. Is that what you were suggesting?
I haven't quite gotten the suggestion, but yes, that sounds right. Which is prohibited. And then the motion by Mark and seconded by Brett, I don't think would be to approve based on comments. Or maybe it is? Are we approving the motion which is, that it's not met? Is that was the only language.
Well, yeah, they're all saying to approve based on comments. I think that's John's,
And I guess we're approving a motion, that makes sense. And the motion is that the condition is not met, the finding.
I think it's fine. Does anybody else have an objection to that? But we do want to amend that.
Sure, yeah.
I wish we would have had these earlier. But we, water quality standards. Yeah, we did leave off at water quality protection standards. I do have my own notes from that.
I'm good. Anybody else need more time?
I think Beth's still.
Okay, no rush.
And like,
On which one?
well, like on D here, erosion and sediment, I thought that was met, and here it's got non-applicable. And then the fill and excavation standards.
Which page? 6?
Yeah,
And are you at the school, because there's a school and the,
okay, well, yeah, that
which I'm,
no, this is Pony
It's a
Hill.
school there on 7.
Well,
It's a
you
school
know.
on 7.
That's a school on 7, okay.
Yep.
Yep, I'm all set.
We'll take a motion then with the amendments.
all right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 15th with a change to paragraph I on page 18. Just change the findings to read, existing driveways and driveway openings does not meet section 7E because it would be an expansion of a non-conforming use which is prohibited.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to approve the minutes from November 15th as amended. Any discussion? Hearing none. And Jeff, I guess you weren't at that meeting, so, yep.
Yeah, I'm abstaining.
Okay, yep. All in favor?
Aye.
3. And Jeff is going to abstain, so 301. Okay. So, new business, Mike. So like you're up here. Maybe you can briefly tell us what you're planning to do down there, even though I've read this.
Yes, I've got Greg here to elaborate a little bit more, but I'm planning on building 5 duplex structures on the lot. 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and yeah, Greg, go
I
ahead.
think part of the project, Mr. Chair, is Greg Johnson, I'm engineer for the applicant, is to separate the business as 11-acre parcel. Like to separate the business off of what is his apartments. The existing business parcel has 2 residences, an office, and a business, and the proposal is to add 5 duplexes. You'll see on the cover one of the duplexes that's existing. You might recognize from driving by. It is in the RV district, if you read the application. The applicant is Orchard Hills LLC. That is the business that runs his, Mike's obviously the managing member. There's no mystery there, but the applicant is the one that runs the business of his residence, the apartments there. So Stephen and Michael Mancini are the owners, and the applicant is the Orchard Hills LLC.
So in the business building, there's the business and 2 apartments, right?
That's correct.
Okay, then there's also an existing duplex,
Yep.
which will be separated from the business parcel and added to the 5 proposed duplexes, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep. We've been working with MDOT on the entrances. We've worked out resource mapping.
and you will need an MDOT road
Yep.
opening permit, correct?
MDOT, yep.
But you haven't done it, you didn't get that yet, I take it, so. We don't need it for this, but
No,
I'm
we
just,
don't need it for this.
yeah.
And I think we've worked through a place for a fire pond on site. And so simply it's an opportunity to sort of segregate his business from the apartments, add some housing, and curiously enough, procedurally in the application, in spite of the things that are asked for in the pre-application, in the town's subdivision application itself, it has some additional questions about waivers and that sort, which isn't in the application sketch plan. So if you find in your packet, you'll find a checklist that is the submission requirements and request for waivers, which is very similar to another town we do a lot of work in, that might help organize what is needed and non-needed. And I just want to say that those are non-committal. It's just a point for us to discuss on each one of those. So.
Yeah, usually we use not applicable, so I was
It's not
surprised when
even-
you said waivers.
Well, it actually says, if you look at the application says, and please include a statement for any submission requirements you request a waiver on, and the pre-application sketch plan does not specifically state you act or do anything on waivers, so there's just a little bit of disconnect. So
Yeah.
we find that extra chart and verbiage in the application is to try to bridge that disconnect between the application and the ordinance. I think with that, we've given you a pretty, I think, thorough package of a plan. We've pretty laid out the buildings. We're happy to give questions and feedback on the contract rules, schedule on site visits, and anything else you can tell us to help us prepare for what will be the completed space.
Mike, I'm curious, it doesn't really affect what we do with this application, but are these going to be year-round rentals? Are you gonna sell the duplexes, or are they gonna be weekly rentals?
Right now, we're 75-25, and I would hope that I could carry that on as we go forward.
75 which way?
75 year-round and 25% vacation rentals. A lot of that's due to, you know, construction costs, that sort of thing.
They were, let me just add to that, of course, this is not, as I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it, but they were all full-time residents in there. One of them came free. That one is being rented weekly. The rest are employees for his business. So 3 out of the 4, 75% of the residents he has now.
Of the existing.
Yeah, the existing rounds.
Yeah.
And so that's just the nature of how things evolve and things become empty and meeting prices. And so we have that expectation carrying forward.
Is the new Orchard Hills Circle Road connected to the existing? It looks like there's like a gravel driveway or something.
There is, yeah.
So,
That is their only entrance.
Is it intention?
that's their only entrance now. Will the residents for the existing structure, will they be entering from Orchard Hill Circle
They'll
primarily?
come in, they'll come in the road.
It will, they'll remain, they could leave through the
Yes.
existing driveway.
There's a new road going in, right? And that's where
Yes.
the people will be driving from the duplexes. They're not gonna go through your business like they have to go through now for the duplex,
Right,
right?
it's,
Yep.
it's the new roads to avoid that.
Two questions. Is there any discussion of creating 2 separate lots?
There is, well, the discussion is around, and you'll see.
Yeah, I was
2
trying to
lots.
interpret the survey.
Yeah, 2 lots is this encompassing the business,
Yep.
and then the residential will be on a separate lot as part of this.
So they'll be in separate title,
Um,
different LLC or something?
Well, they will be, yeah, they'll be in separate title. Yep.
And was there any discussion of creating a condominium for the 5?
Not at this stage,
Not
another
this
stage to sell them off, we haven't approached that yet.
Okay.
Yep.
Good question. And each duplex will have, or each unit in the duplex will have its own septic system?
They are, split, they, individually share parts of the system, so they'll have, there's 3 septic systems planned to serve those duplexes.
3 septic systems planned for 5 duplexes?
That's correct,
For 10 units, 3 septic systems.
that's correct. And on the plan, you'll see the red lines that connect, each of the duplex to the leach fields, that's preliminary how it's laid out.
Do you have a big plan there?
I do, yeah.
Oh,
See
gee,
it?
lucky you.
Oh, it was clipped in my folder. But there's also a
You had it in
small-
your folder?
Yeah, it was clipped to in the binder.
I didn't think I see mine, yeah. Anyway.
Greg knew how to slip me
Oh, yeah, you got
a
the,
bribe or whatever. Just kidding.
Somebody stole
Sticky
yours.
strike that from the record.
Yeah.
It's much easier to see this.
There's been no other subdivisions this property since last 5 years? Do we have
So, last 5 years,
subdivision
no,
issue?
but not in the last 5 years, no, but there is it is part of a revision of a subdivision from ways back.
Yeah, but that wouldn't trigger the subdivision requirements.
No,
Correct.
but technically, it's a revision of an old subdivision that's prior to 5 years old.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we actually,
So I provided those in the history of how it
Yeah.
progressed, so that you
Okay.
could.
Thank you.
Yep.
we acted on this a year ago, November 2021.
Was it only a year ago?
That's what it says here. Actually, it was, yeah, the date that we all signed it was December 14th, 2021. So almost a month to the day. And only one well?
There's 2 existing wells, and there'll be another well at each duplex.
4 new wells.
Okay.
More or less at each duplex.
Where are you seeing them?
And then
Oh, yeah.
there's an existing well.
Well, that's what I saw, existing well, and I didn't, yeah, see, yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, okay. And John, they have enough acreage, obviously, to do this.
That's the,
Well, don't answer this, Greg, you wrote it down in here.
there's a chart, I think I tried to break it out in a chart,
Yeah.
where the primary, you're talking through the primary business.
Greg, the items requiring a waiver look very self-explanatory. Am I missing something?
No, there's administrative matter that.
Oh, they almost look not applicable the way you
Well,
present
that's
it.
the way I look at it, too.
Okay,
Correct.
okay.
Yep.
So I didn't miss anything when I read it,
Yeah.
that more complex. Okay, thank you.
Now, if you look at the subdivision ordinance, you see that the pre-application workshop's a little different, or the procedure is a little different than what we're used to for site plan review.
Is this going to fall under subdivision ordinance?
Right, John? Subdivision ordinance applies here? Yes.
What page are you on?
It'd be on page 7 of 33 in the subdivision ordinance.
Great, in there, yep.
Article 3, pre-application workshop. Applicant presentation of sketch plan and informational workshop between the applicant and planning board, that's what's occurring. And scheduling of an on-site inspection. Determination of required contour level by the planning board.
I don't see elevation numbers on the topo map, the topo lines.
They're now, at present, they're 2 footers.
They're 2 foot. I can't tell yet, although maybe I can figure it out. What's up and down?
It's a good question.
Um,
We can help with that.
Great. I mean, like, at some point, it'd be great to be able to know, you know, and someone quickly be able to be like, oh, that's elevation, whatever it is. Okay.
Understood, yeah.
Yeah.
Just, predominantly
Yeah.
north to south.
High to low, north to south. Okay.
But we have,
Okay.
we have site-specific topo, but Tom Benson's just completed it.
Oh, great. You'll put that in.
Yep.
Are those 2 foot, did Tom do 2
We
foot?
have 1 footers in places, then we'll transition to the 2 footers.
If you look under B3,
Yeah.
it has about the topo maps.
Right.
And those are in here? Topo maps?
Topo maps, or the USGS maps are 8.5 by 11s, and underneath your C1 is the 2 foot LiDAR contours.
Yep. C1. Yep.
Yeah, I think that I was really focused on A3, Mark, which says determination of required contour level by planning board. And I guess I would suggest, I don't think we need a motion or whatever, but I think Greg's on the same page that it's gonna be 2 foot everywhere, and some places there would be 1 foot contour levels. And that didn't seem totally fine to me.
With elevation.
Right, yes, labeled,
As long as they're labeled,
that's right,
yeah.
yeah.
And Greg's gonna do that. You
Yep.
wanna,
I don't think we need a motion.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
I think we're fine there, yeah.
Well, the determination seems that there's something that happens.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Some directive.
yeah, we'll make some directive and
Yeah,
bundle it all together.
Yeah. we should have something.
Yeah. Is there-
Any other questions for them?
What's your schedule? Do you wanna, when do you expect to come back for completeness review and?
I guess we'd like to do the site visit maybe prior to your next meeting, and hopefully we don't have snow on the ground, so we can see the most, so.
Yep,
And then, from there, we should be on a regular cycle with the board, I think.
you're pretty much, I mean, you're ready to
So,
go. And are you hoping to break ground and build as soon as it thaws? Yeah.
Presently, if we went to visit the site before the next meeting, are things staked out well enough?
that's why we'd like to be there,
Okay.
to meet.
Well, yeah, we'd like it there, but would be any visual helping of what we're looking at?
We'll have some stakes, and, we've done some preliminary staking ourselves to see how things felt. And so we'll add some more so you can see where the roads, maybe the buildings are.
Okay, that's what I mean. It's-
And the ordinance does require some stuff. On-site inspection and contour interval. Within 30 days of the pre-application workshop, that's tonight, at least 2 members of the board shall hold an on-site inspection of the property. The applicant shall place flagging at the center line of any proposed streets and at the approximate intersections of the street center lines and lot corners prior to the on-site inspection. The board shall then determine and inform the applicant in writing if they require a more precise contour interval than on the USGS maps for the formal application. So there, that answers that question.
I guess we're a little bit ahead of that,
Yeah,
maybe, but
yeah.
I think that's fine.
And unlike the site plan review site inspection language, this doesn't have a provision for what happens if there's snow on the ground, like, which could be the case within 30 days.
Let's hope not.
Of course, your guys will go out and shovel everything for us, right, Mike? Right?
Snowplow the forest?
Oh, there's some nice plows right in front there.
Uh-huh.
Clean the whole place off for
Put
us.
some marking bait in the snow.
Right.
And if you do this, does it mean more deer are gonna end up in my yard?
Geez, I hope not.
Me too.
I've got everything fenced in right now.
I'm not the only one that suffers with that?
I'm the guy driving a car, a rental car, because I hit a deer.
I think, regarding the site visit, it might be, it says minimum of 2, but, our suggestion is maybe prior to the next planning board meeting, because more than 2 of it, we should advertise it as the site meeting, so I thought that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Agenda. It would be helpful to us if more than 2 are able to attend, of course,
Yeah.
because it's useful. But I think.
I would ask all members to come.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they all will show up, but, yeah.
Right. That's a good point. Is our next meeting
That's what my next question was too. Jeff, you're right
the
there.
27th, or are we going to January?
January
I think it's
11th.
January.
11th.
That's last.
Must be 10th.
Is that
The
last?
10th is the second Tuesday.
Is that more than 30 days?
Yep, that's more than 30 days.
Yep.
So we
We have
need,
to be the
or is it?
29th.
1,
No,
2,
we only have
3,
one.
4. No, it's not. It's 28 days from today. So,
We could schedule a meeting for a site inspection, just hold the site inspection.
on January 3rd. Do a week earlier.
I have to public notice.
Oh, the other.
Yeah, he has to public
Yeah.
notice it 2 weeks in advance, correct?
The other problem with doing it at our regularly scheduled meeting, it'll be pitch black if we do it at 6. We'd have to do it at
That's true.
3.
Yeah, true.
We could do an earlier meeting.
Yeah. Ugh.
Well, we can't do it at our next regularly scheduled meeting because that's more than 30 days.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
28
Oh.
days from today.
Oh,
4 weeks, 1, 2,
4 weeks.
3, yeah, it's 4 weeks from today, so 28 days from today. So it could work on the 10th,
Okay,
but if we do it at 6 PM, like we usually meet,
yeah, we can't do that.
we'd have to bring a lot of headlights or something.
Or we do
dark.
it the week before
Yeah.
and just do
Yeah.
just do the site visit.
As it's like its own thing, 3
One
o'clock
thing, One thing, and then.
on the 3rd. And Brett and I are gonna
Any
have to,
opinions on that? And we could do it
I can
some
get,
of us, some of us don't work.
well, I can get out anytime, so.
That- Yeah, you can get off.
I can get off.
You know the boss?
Yeah, I do.
And Jeff,
Oh, I'm cramped
you'd
up
be-
here.
oh,
Yeah.
you and I have the same schedule?
I think my social security check comes in that day, so I'm busy.
what if I made a motion for the 3rd at 3 o'clock? Is that,
Heck, it's
does
dark
that
at
work for the
3.
applicant?
3 is
By
still
the
a
time, by the
little,
time we got,
3 is a little early, a little late, I think.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it should be 2.
2 or 2:30?
2:30 at the latest.
Does that work for you guys? Think I can do it,
Hot cocoa,
Clarifier.
please. It's gonna be cold.
it's gonna be wicked cold. All right, so,
Can't you do this in the summer?
I'll make a motion to ask the applicant to provide a minimum of, minimum of 2-foot contours, labeled contour lines, and to schedule the site inspection for January 3rd, Tuesday, January 3rd at 2 PM.
Second.
Okay, motion and second on the table to, for the applicant to provide minimum 2-foot contours,
Yep.
correct? And labeled, is that what you said?
Yes.
And labeled, and schedule a site inspection for 2 o'clock on January 3rd. Any discussion?
Does that work with you?
You guys are okay with that? Yep, okay. And you'll be able to get the flagging and everything, right? Yeah, okay, as required. Okay, hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0, okay.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Jeff second.
Jeff, second. Anything else with this? I don't see anything right off.
So we do, is it just subdivision? We don't do site plan review for this?
It's an amended subdivision.
And it's resident, like, why don't we have to go through the whole site plan review for a new project? I mean, I don't know, maybe, I haven't looked. Yeah, why don't we have to do a site, or why doesn't the
Site plan
applicant
review.
have to do site plan review?
Because it's an amended subdivision. It's a recorded plan.
Yeah,
Fine.
yeah,
Actually,
right, so definitely we have to do subdivision,
So,
You don't have to do both.
you don't have to do both. Okay,
So site plan review will never come into play with this.
I think you, it's pretty spelled out relatively clearly on page 5 of 33 in the subdivision orders.
thank you.
Whether review is consistent, is in conformance with the Tremont land use ordinance and Tremont comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
The process is subdivision ordinance, and conformance standards is land use ordinance. We contemplated this as we put it together. The subdivision ordinance hasn't been updated since 2018. The SPO has been updated a number of times since 19 on its inception.
Yeah,
So the link hasn't been there, but the performance standards of the land use ordinance apply, and the procedures for the subdivision ordinance, at least for how this is written and what we've been able to tell. And that's what it states, page 5 of 33.
five through three in the, there it is, I found it, yep, yeah.
Beth and Jeff, anything?
And it's residential.
Correct.
But it's residential consisting of 3 or more dwelling units. So now I'm going to the site plan review ordinance.
It also transient.
And the site plan review ordinance says that it applies to a whole bunch of things, and then number 6 is the construction of a residential structure containing 3 or more dwelling units.
I guess that not containing a structure of 3 or more.
Right.
Ever duplex.
And so the project is more than 3 dwelling units, but each building is not.
So would transient housing come into play with this at all? Person staying at a place that does not constitute his or her home or usual dwelling unit for less than 7 days. But it's always gonna be 7 days or more, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. You have any questions of us?
No, I mean, I think that the applicability of the SPO is a good question.
Yeah.
We've scoured it, I'm sure we'll talk about it again, it's basically the framework of the procedure and how we bring the application together.
Right.
But subdivision ordinance has been tried and true and tested and has a lot of support, state, local level. In fact, is what this property has been reviewed under a number of times, yet has not been reviewed under the SPO, even though at a time there was other multiple structures in there. So the precedent is there. The language is in the ordinance which actually says land use in Tremont Concord, and I think it's just a matter that it didn't get updated to there. But there's nothing wrong with the SPO. I just think for clarity of procedure that we should pick one or the other, and it's clear that looks like the correct procedure. We know subdivision is because that's state law, right?
Sure, that makes sense.
It's really the first time something like this has come before this board since I've been on the board. We've done subdivision amendments.
No subdivisions since the SPO has been approved.
Since I've been on the board, I said, which is 4.5 years. Can you think of any, Jeff? Yeah.
We'd love to be first.
What's that?
So we'd love to be first.
Well, you're not the first, but first for me and Jeff. Beth and Lawson. Okay, unless anybody has anything else to say, thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
You have any other questions of us? You know where to find us.
We'll see you on the 3rd,
See you on the 3rd.
Yep.
Thank you.
if not sooner.
John, do you have a copy of this? A big copy? Okay, then you should keep it. It's supposed to be in his packet.
I'm happy to look at the 11 by 17.
So there's big copies in each one.
Cool.
Okay. Here's my agenda. Okay, we got old business. Jeff?
Goodbye.
Well, you can stay in the audience if you wish, and
Do we want to?
or you can go home and have dinner
Do we
and,
wanna try to talk
and,
again?
and have a beverage.
Are we going to touch on
Oh.
short-term rentals?
Let's touch on it briefly. You guys don't mind waiting a second, so Jeff can, because you want to stay for that, okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think,
what do you think? I didn't have much to say. All I know is that the selectmen voted to send it to us to develop something around short-term rentals before August. Even though the town attorney first said something about, oh, it should be the comprehensive plan task force developing and looking into this, but somehow then he recommended them having the selectmen sending it to us instead, and we're supposed to cooperate with the comprehensive plan task force.
Is that why?
Is that confusing enough?
Maybe that's why we got this.
Well, I don't feel that we have to be frozen in place in moving forward and fine tuning what we presently have while we wait for the comprehensive plan to come through. And I think we're all aware that these rentals are creating havoc in every town up and down the coast. Well, we had that gentleman come to us 3 or 4 meetings ago, just out of the blue, say, local people can't afford to buy, and it's all being bought by out of town. I mean, we read about it every time you open the damn paper. So I think I'm not supportive of waiting for the comprehensive plan to come through before we do something. I think we should put it on our agenda now and look at it.
Well,
We have a petition.
we do, we have a deadline, we have a deadline. We have a deadline of August.
Right.
So we have to do something. The comprehensive plan won't even be done by then, or
And-
voted on.
I had a brief conversation with Jesse when I picked up the file about it. He did say, I don't want to quote him, but I think he suggested there might be money available to hire someone who knows more than we do about this to guide us through it.
That was gonna be my first suggestion. Yes, hire somebody to do it.
Well, at least hold our hand in some way.
Yeah, yes, yeah.
And so the only thing I'd like to get started on it, that's all, rather than
Let's
say
put it
we've
on
got plenty of time to August.
The
so we
agenda
can
for
put
our
on the
next
agenda.
meeting. The
Yeah,
agenda for our next meeting.
okay.
Yeah, Brett will probably be here, and we can go from there.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say. I just know they've tasked us with this, with a deadline of August, so, because they need to then schedule public hearings, that sort of thing, to get it on the warrant for the November
Right.
Elections, so.
And we have pretty good representation from the comprehensive plan committee on the board.
I think there are several members, 3 exactly, on
I believe the
this
majority.
board that are also on the comprehensive plan task force, so. Yeah, that's good. I also understand, and I don't know where it's at in development, that Noel Musson, who is connected with helping develop the comprehensive plan, although most of the work's being done by another business, but he is developing has developed, or is developing a toolkit for towns to use regarding weekly rentals. So Airbnbs and that sort of thing. So maybe we can also see if he has something for us to look at as well.
Good.
Yeah.
The only other concern I have is I think we should have a disclosure if any of us have a conflict, since it's possible some of us have rentals, I don't know. But I think there should be a.
As much as I'd like to have like a dozen of these
Yeah,
things,
so
I have none.
I have none. But I think we should be sure we're transparent to the public that we,
Yeah, yeah,
if a conflict exists, at least disclose it and then decide whether
yeah.
it prevents participation or not. But at least a disclosure would
Right.
Right.
create transparency. I think it's important to our community.
Yeah. We know there are members of the select board that have
I have-
at least 2
I have
members.
rentals.
And you do too?
Mhm.
Okay. Beth has rentals.
I don't, but
Austin doesn't.
family members do. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
So, Jeff, you want to make a motion to schedule this discussion, or put this on the agenda for our January meeting? What was that, the 10th?
I'll move that we put on agenda for our next meeting, January 10th, 2023, to begin discussions and work on short-term rental ordinances, if it found that the towns, if found needed in our town.
Second?
Motion and a second on the table to put on the agenda for our January 10th meeting, beginning our discussion on short-term rentals. Good enough?
Fine.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
4-0. They'll get a, should
So-
have.
So I just want to say thank you for rearranging the schedule so I can
Yep.
go home. Emily was operated on yesterday, so I want to
Yeah.
hear my patient.
And well, yeah, and enjoy your food
But
while
she's laid
our
out.
stomachs are grumbling here.
Thank you, have a good evening.
Okay, sorry about that, folks. Let's get around to Pointy Head. Which we last discussed a month ago. And to my recollection, we were doing the land use ordinance findings of fact, correct? And that we were on the water quality protection standards. Let's see here. The right pages here. Okay, water quality protection standards. No activity shall deposit on or into the ground or discharge to the waters of the state any pollutant that by itself or in combination with other activities or substances will impair designated uses or the water classification of the water body, tributary stream, or wetland. And some activities may require a permit from the Natural Resources Protection Act, from the Department of Environmental Protection, if performed in, on, or over any freshwater or coastal wetland, great pond, river, or stream. And we decided that's not the case, correct?
I'm not sure that's correct. It might be, but,
Yeah, okay. Adjacent to mean any land within the floodway of a river, stream, or brook, or any land area with 100 feet of the normal high water line or upland edge of a coastal wetland, freshwater wetland, river, stream, or brook.
Mr. Chairman, just to focus you a little bit, that merely says that these activities may require a Natural Resources Protection Act permit.
Right,
It's not a review criteria of yours.
right.
Just wanted to.
Okay.
point that.
So do we think this has been met, or not applicable?
I think it's not applicable. Because work is not being done in, on, or over the coastal wetlands. Or any of the other things. And it's not adjacent because it's more than 100 feet away. The work is being done more than 100 feet away.
Do you agree, Mr. Larson?
this
So
case
it-
it would be. I mean,
So
right,
then it
We
would.
could say it's met because
Met.
no activity is, will deposit on it, whatever
Right.
language is there.
yep.
Want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the water quality protection standards have been met because no activity shall deposit on or into the ground any pollutants that will impair the design, the designated uses of the water classification of the water body. And if required to get a permit, the applicant would get a permit under the NRPA.
Which would be the septic system,
I don't,
or is it far enough away?
I think that's further away. I mean, there may be permitting, but I don't think that they need a permitting from NRPA, by my reading.
Well, yeah, they'll have to get a septic permit, which I think they,
They have it somewhere here, don't they? Oh, it's actually, it's in here. There's septic information. Yeah, bear with us, you know, it's been a long process here.
it's not in the shoreline zoning,
Yeah, okay.
so no,
So we're okay there.
yeah.
Yep. So, you want a second, Lawson's?
Second it.
Okay, motion and second on the table that the water quality protection standards have been met for the stated reason. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Lake watershed phosphorus protection. Now, we know this is not applicable because it's not within Seal Cove and Hodgson Pond lake watersheds.
That's right. I'll make a motion, unless John wants me to say that it's met.
It's Matt, because.
I'll make a motion that that the lake watershed phosphorus protection has been met because this project is not in Seal Cove or Hodgson Ponds watersheds.
I'll second.
Motion second on the table to find that the lake watershed phosphorus protection condition has been met because it's not, the property is not within the watershed of Seal Cove or Hodgson Pond. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Lighting, outdoor. We did have a lighting plan somewhere. Did you see it? No, there's that. You refer us to where the lighting plan is?
I think that, our engineer is looking for it for you right now, because I recall we had to supplement it because you wanted further clarification on the footpath lights.
Right,
Yes.
yeah.
Step lights, and we did
There's
that.
so many versions of these plans.
The updated lighting plan, I believe the latest and greatest is in the August edition. On an 11x17 sheet, that's all. I don't believe we had a full-size version, it's a pretty simple plan.
It's a separate one, not in this.
Correct, it was in one of the supplemental packages.
Yeah.
Anything was dated August?
Correct.
If you'd like, we can approach.
I can bring this one up if.
That would be great.
Yeah, it's getting pretty thick at this point.
Telling me.
Low path lights. Tree line.
Solar ones up there, one's 8. One's 5.
The parking lot lights here, which are 7, 8 high.
That's these ones, right?
Yep,
Those are the only elevated,
That's
can't
right.
use that word.
yep.
The rest of them are low lights, a few.
And you said typical of 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Correct.
Yep.
Yep. And then the rest of them are, low down the pathway elevation, other than, some wayfinding signage, which I think was requested. By the-
Post-mounted downlights for signage.
Exactly,
Yeah.
just to.
Yep.
Glad you're organized.
Lucky.
So the lumens there are only 200 on those, right?
On, I believe that's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all lights greater than or equal to 1,800 lumens have to have the full cutoff, so that doesn't apply here. All light directed away from adjacent properties. Mostly low structural fees, okay. You gonna have any motion sensors on any of these?
I believe they're just solar sensors.
Just solar.
And those parking lights, are they going to be on all night?
It'll be dusk to dawn, yes.
What's that?
Dusk to dawn, yes.
Dusk to dawn, okay. It's interesting, in the ordinance, it does say recommended best practices, non-security parking lights. I guess you're gonna call them security lights, right? Turn off non-security parking lot lights after business hours to save energy and protect the night sky.
Although, what are the business hours for a campground? That's sort of a rhetorical question, but it sort of seems like.
Yeah, but was it 10 o'clock that we,
That's an ordinance.
In the
the
ordinance.
Standards that don't apply to this
oh,
project because they submitted their application before we adopted those at the town meeting.
Makes sense to me.
I don't have any problems with that.
How about a motion?
I'll make a motion that the lighting, outdoor lighting requirements have been met, because of the site lighting schedule dated August 11th.
A second.
Motion and second on the table to find that the outdoor lighting condition has been met according to
The site lighting schedule, or the site lighting plan?
the lighting plan,
The site lighting plan.
site lighting plan, okay.
Has a schedule on it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Blasting.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
If we can affirm it.
Is there gonna be blasting?
No.
No blasting. And if there is, you know you have to get a permit, right?
I'll make a motion that the blasting requirement has been met because, if blasting is required, a permit will be,
No blasting is proposed. and
no
if-
blasting is proposed, and if blasting is required, the applicable permit will be received, or, will be
Applied to,
applied to, gotten.
for.
I'll
second.
Thanks.
Okay. Motion and second on the table to find that the blasting requirement has been met because no blasting is proposed, and if blasting does happen, it will require the applicant to get a permit, the proper permit, correct?
Thank you, yes.
Okay,
Very well said.
yes. Thanks. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Temporary sale of food or merchandise. You're not gonna sell any T-shirts or food there or anything?
I'll make a motion that the temporary sale of food and merchandise requirement has been met because there is no temporary sale of food or merchandise proposed as part of this project.
I'll second.
Motion second to find the temporary sale or of food or merchandise requirement has been met because there's no, there's going to be no sale of food or merchandise. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Okay, land use ordinance, Article 8, permit application review criteria. Will maintain safe and healthful conditions. Excuse me.
May I just make an observation?
You may.
Thank you. Along the lines of what Mr. Johnson was saying earlier, and arguments I also made to your Board of Appeals concerning the inner workings of these ordinances that the town has. I just find this section a little confusing after having been through all of those other review criteria that you get to these sort of general ones. I'm wondering if they might have perhaps been in an original ordinance and you've beefed up those standards, because I just don't know how you can have made the findings you've made thus far and then that, I just seems to be there, it seems a bit.
I understand what you're saying.
All right. But by all means, I wouldn't want you to.
And you might find me agreeing with that at some point. There's a lot in this process that could be streamlined personally. Mr. Larson, maybe you could explain to why we're going through these now?
It's part of the ordinance.
Bingo. Safe and healthful conditions.
I make a motion that
Just so general.
this application will maintain safe and healthful conditions.
I'll second.
Motion is second on the table to find that that condition's been met because the project will maintain safe and healthful conditions.
That's, sure, yes.
Okay, we know we have concerns about a one-way road and two-way traffic.
Yeah, I guess my
So is that
inclination is
safe
to
and-
like keep
condition?
that to a more definable, focused motion that was made at the last meeting. Or I guess another option would be to say that because of that, this condition is also not met, and cited very specifically and directly. So it's not a general comment about the whole project. It's a specific comment about a specific
Concerns about,
concern. But I think that what's tricky is that the other paragraph, whatever it is, E or I, is not met because it's expansion of non-conforming use, which doesn't necessarily mean, I don't know. I'm not sure that necessarily means that it's unsafe or unhealthful. It means it's non-conforming and doesn't comply with the ordinance. But I'm not sure I'm in a position to be able to make a judgment about whether that makes it unsafe or unhealthful.
Beth, any comments on that?
it's just very confusing. Because it really
Yeah,
isn't saying anything.
it's vague term, they're very vague. Okay, we have a motion second on the table to find that this condition has been met, that the project will maintain safe and healthful conditions. I'm gonna call for a vote unless there's any further discussion. All in favor? Aye, 3-0. Is that you
Yeah.
did 3-0? will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters.
I'll make a motion that this condition has been met because the project will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters as discussed previously in other paragraphs.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to find that the will not result in water pollution, or the project will not result in water pollution, erosion, or sedimentation to surface waters. That condition's been met, okay? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater. We know there's a septic plan.
I'll make a motion that this requirement has been met because the project will adequately provide for disposal of all wastewater through an on-site septic system.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to find that the project will adequately provide for the disposal of all wastewater, and that condition's been met. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat.
I'll make a motion that this project will, that this requirement has been met because the project will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to find that the condition's been met because it won't have, the project will not have an adverse impact on spawning grounds, fish, aquatic life, bird, or other wildlife habitat. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Will conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters.
Yeah,
I'd say that it's gotta be not applicable, right?
yeah, right, is the project actually conserving shore cover? I'll make a motion that this is, that this requirement is not applicable because I don't know, it's not off the coast. I guess it does
It's
have.
not applicable.
Just because it's not applicable, can I stop there? Sure,
I think that works.
okay. That's the motion. You can see how you all
Second.
vote. Okay.
Motion and second on the table to find that the requirement to conserve shore cover and visual as well as actual points of access to inland and coastal waters is not applicable. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Will protect archaeological and historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. We know that there are no archaeological or historic sites within the property, correct?
I'll make a motion, yes, I'll make a motion that this requirement has been met because the project does not impact archaeological or historic resources.
Second.
Motion and second on the table to find conditions have been met because the project will not affect any archaeological or historic resources as designated in the comprehensive plan. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a commercial fisheries maritime activity zone.
So this one feels potentially relevant because it speaks to paragraph I, or at least the component of paragraph I that is non-conforming. But I'm hesitant to say that like the project adversely affects commercial fishing and maritime activities.
Since they're not going on in that zone right now. Right? Is that
Right.
your reasoning?
I guess it just seems like it's a, like, I don't know, like a little bit of an uncomfortable stretch to say that just because it doesn't conform to the ordinance means it adversely affects the activities. That sort of that,
Well, it doesn't affect the activities.
I mean, I guess I'm not like a commercial fisheries and maritime activities expert, so it's hard for me to know if a campground impacts the activities, or how a campground would impact activities in the commercial and fish, you know, in the CFMA zone. I can read the ordinance and I can know that some things are met, some things are not, but it's hard to know.
But if nothing's actually existing there, it's not going to affect it. I'm sure Mr. Barrow would agree with that.
Yeah.
Right. Seems
I think that I will say, I think the motion will be that this, we'll just go for it. I'll make a motion that this project, or that this requirement has been met because the project will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in the CFMA zone.
I'll second.
I didn't know whether you were actually thinking about it or.
I was thinking,
Well, you hit second, so we can discuss it. We have a motion and second on the table to find that this requirement has been met because the project will not adversely affect existing commercial fishing or maritime activities in a commercial fisheries maritime activity zone. Any discussion?
I guess for the record, I would state that it doesn't seem within this purview of this board to identify like how things impact activities. I'm not sure how activities would be defined, and so it's hard to know.
Well, certainly if there was a boatyard on the property, that would be an activity, a maritime activity. If there,
But it's not, but, I mean, this sort of statement implies that, seems to ask if this project impacts activities in the CFMA zone.
no, existing, that's the word that I focus on.
Yep.
There's
But does it-
nothing existing there.
Do you think that it means existing activities on that site? Is that how you're reading it? Or
That's the way
existing
I read it,
activities
yeah.
anywhere in the CFMA zone?
Oh, so the campground could affect something in a commercial
I think it's
activity
a-
zone somewhere else in town? Is that what?
Since we're in the moment of discussion, I think I just want to say that it's a poorly written line in the ordinance, and it makes it hard to know how to interpret it, but.
Any further
That's all.
discussion, or
That's
do
all.
you want to vote on it?
I'm ready to
Did
vote.
you have anything else to say? There's nothing existing there,
right.
so I think this has been met in my mind.
Great.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Great.
All in favor? 3-0. Are you sure you want to vote in the affirmative?
Yep.
Okay. Will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use. It's not in the floodplain, right? John?
I'll make a motion that this project, or that this requirement has been met because the project will avoid problems associated with floodplain development and use.
I second.
Motion and second on the table to find the project requirement has been met because the project will avoid problems associated with floodplain development use. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Okay, standards for the zone, Article 4. You get to go back.
Page 12, I think.
You go way back.
Ten.
Not on my 12.
10.
No?
Yeah? Yeah, page 10.
Oh, yeah, page 10, okay, yeah. Land use standards, all uses are permitted subject to the lot structure performance conversion standards. I don't even know why this is on here.
I think that we decided,
And it's a permitted use in the residential business zone.
well, except that
So it's met.
except that we voted that and said that the Rose driveways, that the existing driveway openings does not meet because it's an expansion of a non-conforming use. And so I don't think that all uses are permitted. I guess I'm assuming that this
I see what
land
you're
use
saying.
standards is pointing sort of towards or referencing the table of land uses.
It's referencing standards for the zone, the residential business zone, B on page 12, like you said.
Right, and so paragraph 1A, all uses are permitted subject to the lot structure, performance, and conversion standards, which are then defined on page 22 in the land uses, in the land use table. The table of land uses.
The standards are different than the use. The standards are we 50 feet from the sideline? Is our lot coverage below whatever the percentage might be applicable?
Okay.
Yep.
And so the standards are what's listed starting on page, in Article 5, which we reviewed. So those are the standards, I don't know, 20 paragraphs or whatever it is.
This specifically refers to Article 4B.
Right, so that statement, all uses are permitted subject to the lot structure, performance, and conversion standards.
Right.
And
In the lot standards, minimum lot area per residential dwelling unit or principal non-residential structure. John, can you help us out on this one, please?
You talk about 1A.
Yeah,
It's an allowed use of residential business zone.
but we've already determined that all uses are, well, okay, so I guess, so it's all uses are permitted. I just wanna contradict ourselves.
you're hung up on the driveway.
Right, I don't wanna say now, I don't wanna contradict ourselves today, saying that what we said a month ago. I don't wanna disagree with ourselves from a month ago. But I think that, we can say that the uses are permitted. And that it's, as long as they comply with the standards. And we've already reviewed all the standards, we've gone through and we've said which ones they meet, which ones they don't. But tonight we can say that the use is permitted pending or dependent upon approval of the standards, or review of the standards. I'm just trying to figure out what that sentence means. Subject to.
It seems it's getting unnecessarily complicated here. Am I missing something?
Probably not. It's not the first time for me to make things unnecessarily complicated, so I think that's a good chance that that's what's happening over here.
We'll ask your wife about that sometime.
We need a different committee for that one. I'll make a motion that this requirement has been met because all uses are permitted, subject to the lot structure, performance, and conversion standards. I think that's okay. Yeah.
I'll second.
Motion is second to table to find that the land use, this condition's been met because all uses are permitted subject to lot structure, performance, and conversion standards. Correct?
Yes.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? 3-0. Lot standards, minimum lot area per residential dwelling unit or principal non-residential structure, 40,000 square feet.
I'll make a motion, just on the lot up here. I'll make a motion that this requirement has been met. Because the minimum lot area, I don't know, because there's enough,
There's at least 40,000.
there's at least 40,000 square feet for the project.
No, the residential dwelling unit or principal structure, which is to be the house.
Which is the
Correct.
house, is that still a principal structure? Even though it's not the primary use?
John, is that correct?
Great.
Residential dwelling unit or principal structure would be the house itself.
So I need 40,000 for the house, and I need 5,000 for every campsite.
Yep. Which they have.
It's based on the fact you got 40,000 for the house and 5 for every campsite.
I'll make a motion that a new motion that the lot standards requirement has been met because the project has 40,000 square feet for the house and 5,000 square feet for every campsite.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to find that this condition's been met because the principal or the residential dwelling structure has 40,000 square feet and each campsite has 5,000 square feet at least. Is that correct, or basically what you said? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? 3-0. Minimum lot area per residential multi-unit dwelling.
I'll make a motion that this requirement has been met because the project does not include a residential multi-unit dwelling.
I'll second.
Motion and second on the table to find this condition's been met because the project does not have any multi-unit dwellings. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye, 3-0. Structure standards. We know the 15-foot's okay.
So, Mr. Chair, you have, the ordinance has separate standards for campgrounds for setbacks,
Yes.
which are not reviewing under this checklist.
So I think that the way we just did I'm looking at page 25 of 85,
Yeah, that's
that
right.
include additional standards
For campgrounds.
specific to campgrounds. And when we approved the lot standards, we referenced the paragraph D1, the 5,000 square feet necessary for each campground. And I think we should do the same thing when we approve structure standards. We can reference both the structure standards for the RV zone, or the setbacks for the RV zone, and the setbacks for campground, that shall be set back a minimum of 50 feet from the exterior lot lines and 100 feet from the high water line, 75 feet from the, let's see, 100 feet from Great Pond, anyway.
I don't see where
50
this
feet.
is even applicable to what,
Well, where else would we have reviewed setbacks?
well, for one thing, the campground, standards.
Yeah.
We did that early on. If they didn't meet those setbacks, we wouldn't have gotten this far.
As part of the findings of fact, we reviewed them.
You're asking me to remember
I-
when exactly.
I don't think that we reviewed, well, I don't know.
Of course, we did, we have the plan that shows the setbacks, right? And it,
Definitely there's setbacks shown and drawn,
right,
but I think that the findings of fact that we started on October 11th was site plan review, and then we went to land use ordinance, Article 6, performance standards. But I don't think, and I'd love to be proven wrong by anybody. Do you know, Dan?
Yeah, so the checklist that you're going through for the land use ordinance, but sort of record on Dan Pelleggi represents several of others. This checklist you're going through for the land use ordinance separately from the site plan
Yeah.
did not include an analysis of the Article 5D standards for campgrounds.
We
So you have never done it.
We started with Article 6, the performance standards, which address some of the things, you know, but they don't, I don't think that they ever specifically ask about setbacks. I don't think we discussed it on October 11th or November, whatever it was, or today.
I'm not sure that those are review standards. I'm happy to have you determine that our project meets the appropriate sideline setback as set forth here in this ordinance, but I don't think these are review standards per se.
you agree that these don't really apply, correct?
Certainly the residential things don't apply.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that you've amended your ordinance to require a 50-foot setback for campsites. And if you want to make a finding that this project does or doesn't meet that standard, and the 5,000 square feet that we just discussed per campsite, any of these standards, it's fine by me. I'd rather have you err on the side of caution if you feel necessary to do that. But, you know, like for example, it says only one recreational vehicle allowed on a campsite. There's nothing on a plan that's gonna say whether you have two vehicles there or not. That's a matter of practice. I think that these are not necessarily standards, all that can be determined by the planning board at this time as having been met. Those are operational standards, that one is, for example. But as far as the development standards, or the lot standards being 15 or 50 feet from the sideline, I'm happy to have you make those findings if you wish. Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Chairman. It's rather evident from the first plan we presented, you know, those are the things that you looked at first.
We look, yeah, we wouldn't have got this far if you didn't have the appropriate setbacks. Mr. Larson? Yes.
I suggested, let's just say this was met based on setbacks or from campground standards.
I understand, okay.
Item number 2, those proposed structures greater less than 25%. And no building, proposed building is going to exceed 5,000 square feet.
I'm ready.
You understand what he was saying? I think.
I think so.
Kind of makes
Yep.
sense.
I'll make a motion that the structure standards requirements have been met because the setbacks meet the RB requirements of 15 feet and the campground requirements of, I'll just say the campground setback requirements. And that the I see that's still setbacks. The height of the building is less than 40 feet. And the lot coverage is less than 25%. And no building is larger than 5,000 square feet.
I'll second.
Motion and a second on the table to find that this condition has been met, structure standards condition's been met, because the setbacks meet that required of the residential business zone and the campground setbacks for campgrounds. That the height is less than the 40-foot maximum buildings, right?
That's right, yep.
And building size is less than 5,000 square feet, and that's it, right?
No lot coverage.
And what?
The
Lot
lot
coverage.
coverage.
And the lot coverage is less
Less
than 25% maximum. Okay, yep.
Yep.
Motion second on the table for that. Any discussion? Yes, Mr.
No discussion.
Oh.
Sorry.
You were voting ahead of time.
Just warming up.
Okay. Hearing no discussion or call for discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, 3-0. Okay.
Conversion standards aren't. I mean,
We didn't include that.
well, it's there. There's a, I think that we're missing a break between the building size paragraph and the conversion standards
I see what you
paragraph.
mean. Right here.